Folks, you're hearing about it more and more. It's making its way into our everyday lives, and I believe it's the next big step in our human experience. Here today to tell us more about artificial intelligence is the CEO and founder of the Omedley Group, an artificial intelligence consulting firm. Please welcome Zulfia Forsyth. So you said that the last podcast you did was specifically about AI in Asia?
No. So it's my friend actually heads up that AI institute. So we were just talking about just future of AI and the application of AI, just sharing my experience, and yeah, that's all. But also like AI application like in remote areas as well, because it's a AI Asia Pacific Institute. So they were just covering how could AI be helpful like in remote areas.
I see. Would they pair it with something like Starlink?
What's a Starlink?
Starlink is Elon Musk's internet. That's like they use it in really rural places.
Yes. Sorry, yes. I got it. A lot of yes. I know it's out of context. More like how can AI be helpful in remote areas? Like what can we do with all of these capabilities right now that's opening up for OpenAI, for example, for Google, right? How can people in remote areas leverage AI? Because you think like AI is something that's more for, let's say, people with like in the bigger cities or in developed countries, but in remote areas, actually, it's pretty interesting. There was a study, and it was done way couple of years ago in Africa. Somebody came up with the AI app that will scan, that will have ability to recognize diseases in plants, and what it will help with is actually like also put the constraints in that app. So, for example, it would know like, okay, that app needs to be speaking in the language of that, for example, of that dialect. Also, it needs to know what are the plants that are in that area, and as well as people would be using low resolution cameras. So it would also know like all these restrictions and still provide the valuable output, like for example, the valuable knowledge. So the farmers would know, okay, well, these are the diseases that we would need be treating, and this is how we treat them because they're applicable to that region. So
it's really impressive.
Yeah.
There's really it's such a wide future for AI that it's so exciting to see like what's coming. It's really the forefront of like the next wave.
Yes, and that's one of the just because people even in remote areas or where you would think, oh, they will have no resources or no knowledge bases.
Everyone has phones now, right?
Yeah, everybody has phones now, exactly. And everybody has phones now. Everybody has internet, so they can have access to the knowledge that they would not have otherwise, for example. So that's good.
What was it that got you interested in AI?
Absolutely. So I started my journey with as a data analyst and working with clients and helping them with more streamlining their processes on the reporting side. But the AI is just started hearing about it. It's like, okay, how can we take them to the next level? And AI is just, I'm a very curious person by the nature. So I started like hearing about AI. I was like, all right, let's see what can it do for our clients. Let's see what can it do for me, even in our own work as well. It's before we started working with the clients, we started implementing processes within our organizations. Like, well, let's learn about it. Let's see what kind of technologies we need to, or tools we need to learn, and just create like a small workflow automation, something that we do on a repetitive basis that's taking a lot of time. How can AI help us with it, for example?
Yeah, that seems to be a really large benefit of AI is those repetitive processes and finding more efficient solutions.
Yes, absolutely. And the way I would say there's definitely a lot that's going on, especially in a couple of months, and every week there's new news on AI. Like new model comes up with new capabilities. Just even simple little thing like on your phone, if you use, for example, Gemini, it's a large language model by Google. You can take a picture of something, like a picture of iPad, for example, and it will tell you, oh, this is the iPad Air, for example, and it will tell you the cost of it as well. So it's just it it could be used in our daily lives. It could be also used in business. If we one of the things that like on a daily life, kind of something simple, you want to ask, hey, like I want to know what to cook today. Can you suggest something to me? And obviously, it could be so vague, but you could also train the model, and then you could put up your information, like if you have certain restrictions in terms of like food allergies, or if you have certain preferences, it can learn what you like and start giving you suggestions. Because I think certain things, it's like, all right, you run out of the ideas, and it just helps you sometimes with that. But something to keep in mind is a lot of people with security of the information, just making sure when we use those chat GPTs, for example, that run on our phones, that if there's something private, if you don't want to put your private information about your health, for example, preferences, or sorry, if your health issues or problems that you have, or any type of a information that's personal to you, you want to make sure that, first of all, that there's a one feature that you just need to turn off, that model is not taking your information, not being trained on, and so the privacy is there. Is
Can you bring this
important.
a little closer?
Oh,
Yeah. Bring it up a little higher.
okay, like this.
Yeah, right there.
Okay, all right.
Can you hear yourself?
Yes.
Like it louder?
Yes, I can hear myself.
Cool. That's
Okay,
better.
this is better.
Yes,
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. Thank you.
So there's not a right to privacy with AI, like with the Gemini. If you were to ask it like a medical question, your data could be used and sent,
Yes.
just like
You need to
every
make
other
sure
search
you need
history.
to make sure in your settings that you turn off. There is an option, for example, in ChatGPT in data controls. It literally has an option. Oh, help us to improve our model. That means we will take the information that you input and we'll train the model based on it. So you just want to make sure you have it off. So, the model is not taking information and keeping it.
I think that's one of the toughest things right now about AI is that there's still people behind it.
Yes.
So we have to trust that they're doing the right thing. But from what we've seen in a lot of corporations and businesses, they have ulterior, nefarious motives that are about control and profit. So
Yes.
how do we get over something like that?
No, this is so true, right? Because it's, I think it's issue at the two hands, because why are they doing this? They're trying to collect the information so they can make their models more accurate. And with that being said, if they're selling it to us as a consumers, they want to make sure that we get accurate results, and they want to make sure that we have much more detailed information that will be close to our needs. But for that, they need data. So it's kind of like a twofold, right? Because if you want something that's more accurate, you need data to be trained, that was collected for different individual needs. So it's a balance for sure.
What kind of programs do you use? So I've only had experience really with ChatGPT.
Yes.
So in your company, do you use ChatGPT or do you have your own AI?
Yeah, absolutely. For example, on daily basis, we do use ChatGPT. I also use Claude. I also use Gemini. So it's and also use Perplexity AI. So it's a lot of things, but again, I'm testing it out as well because I'm on the end where we offer services for our clients in AI. So I have to know what's happening, what's the difference between the model from Google versus to OpenAI, for example, and I need to see what's the best for what. For example, Claude, what I've noticed, and
is that the one on X? Or was
Gronk.
Groot or something? He's got a weird name.
Oh no, it's a Gronk.
Yeah.
Gronk. Yeah.
Which one is Claude?
No, Claude is from Anthropic Claude.
Okay.
So Anthropic Claude also had some investment by Amazon as well. So Amazon spent, I think, some $10 billion in it.
Whoa.
Yes. Big ticket numbers.
It's interesting. Just click.
Yes.
10 million, send, withdraw. It's
yes.
wild.
Yes. Well, another very crazy fact, for example, ChatGPT, right, that everybody knows of, in 2024, I think they lost $5 billion. So they're not profitable at all until, I think, projected 2029. So they just continuously going to be losing money. And I know we deviated from the question, so I'm going to go back to why I'm using so many different things and basically testing it out as well. What's the best and what's the difference between all of them. For example, Claude is really good for creative writing, what I've noticed, versus ChatGPT. It just sounds more human than ChatGPT. So, for example, if you're writing like a LinkedIn post, or if you're writing, for example, job proposal, or you're trying to apply for some grant or scholarship, try Claude and see it, because it sounds more human. It keeps the tonality as well pretty good. For ChatGPT is good for more complex stuff. Like I think compared to other large language models, it performs well for like computational, like math, physics, more complex, but also good on the go, because it has a voice enabled feature, so you can quickly ask a question like, "Oh, can you please tell me, for example, what's a compute? Can you explain it to me? What's a bit?" It's just more, or it's something very simple too, like how can I make chocolate chip cookies, for example, you know? And
From my experience, I like ChatGPT the best.
okay,
I've tried Gemini and I think Gronk,
yeah,
and I asked them all like the same questions, and I just liked the way that ChatGPT answered better.
okay,
But when you say that Claude kept the tonality,
yes,
what do you mean by that?
absolutely. So Claude is your tonality, like how do you like it?
I see.
You know, because it's gonna, once you start prompting and asking more questions, it's gonna know how you what you like based on your response back, based on your feedback loop. So it's gonna know, okay, well, this is how Jacob likes to write, for example, or this is how Sophia likes to write. So that's helpful.
How does that feel from the like like the human creative perspective? Does it feel like alienating, intimidating, or does it feel like an assistance
To
because
me,
it's learning?
absolutely. To me, as an assistant, as being not native English speaker, sometimes I have a lot of ideas, and it's hard for me to put them grammatically well, or to have a really nice flow. So what I do, I just kind of like write a draft of it, and I just ask, can you please like fix the flow, fix the grammar, make sure it like flows and kind of or binds it well together. So I'm not necessarily telling it, oh, okay, well, I'm like checking off and here, write it for me. I'm still here guiding you through, and it helps me to get through things faster. And another thing I think, just personally, when you have a to-do list, it's nice to check off things fast, and also it's like a great boost of productivity. You get through something that's really hard. For me, for example, writing, right? And not being a native English speaker, for me, it's like I want to make sure whatever I'm writing is putting my message across finely. Also, it sounds grammatically correct. So if I know that there's a tool that's going to help me out, I'm most likely going to jump on it and get it done quickly, and get that accomplished, instead of like dragging my feet and be like, oh, this is so hard. It's taking like such a long time, and, you know, kind of being intimidated and not going through with the process.
That's great. That's a unique way to use AI.
Yes, exactly. And Perplexity AI is another one that I use. And Perplexity AI is more like a great detailed research assistant. If you're trying to look up, for example, what LLM is, for example, it's going to give you all the links to YouTube videos that could be helpful to learn from, or courses that would be interesting. Another thing that actually they rolled out recently in the fall, as a marketplace, so you can buy things on it as well. Perplexity AI, you're just like, oh, I'm looking for office desk, and all of a sudden now you have all these options, and it will summarize the features of that item that you're looking to buy, and you can just buy with one click. It's almost like buying from chatbot. And if you have a like $20 pro plan with it, you get free shipping as well.
Oh, wow.
So I don't know if they're trying to compete with Amazon, but here
Do you
we
think
are.
that Amazon would just buy them, like if they got big enough?
I don't know actually, because I was listening about the founders of Perplexity AI. They were trying to compete with Google as well, because basically it's a large language model with the whole search engine behind it as well. So they have they have few competitors there in the field for sure.
What is one of the most common things that businesses come to you for AI solutions?
Absolutely. All right. So far, it has been customer service responses, for example. Those are
Those are, I agree. I've experienced the Karens and the nightmare side of customer service where people are not nice.
honestly, we all want to talk to human, right? At the end of the day, we do definitely. But at the same time, the experience has been like, oh, to get to the human takes 45 minutes, for example. And then you get to somebody and they're like, oh, let me forward you to someone else. And now you're 2 hours in and still no questions answered. So I think what I've seen is that at least those like the most frequently answered questions could be automated. So you kind of get in and out quickly. So that's what I've been seeing with my clients.
Now, do customers, is there good feedback from customers though? Because I feel like if I see like FAQs or like how like chatbots before I always felt they were just kind of useless. Like the little customer service thing, you type in a question, it gives you just the FAQs list,
Yes.
and you're still looking for a person at the end of the day. But
Yes. So there is a bit, they take an additional step forward actually. So when our clients come in, they already know what type of questions they've been asked for before. And most of the times, so we can pre-train the model based on them. And we also have a chatbot history so they can evaluate what the questions were asked and what was the responses. And we can fine tune the model and see, all right, well, these are the questions that are being asked, for example, and these are the answers. Are they good answers? Are they bad answers? Or are they additional questions that they have not accounted for example? So, we have some type of a log that they can take a look at and improve the model as well. So it's been so far, we in early adoption. So far, it's been better than, for example, we've been solving a problem for one of our client where they have all these like tickets from their customers, and let's say the person is out of the office, it lands on somebody else's. They're like, oh, what is this? How do I answer? I have other things to do. So it's definitely has been step forward in terms of like getting back to their customers as fast as possible. And communication is the key, right? Because customers
absolutely,
want that attention as well. They don't want to be like, oh, like asking questions sitting on the phone line or sitting on the email. So it's a quick response, and if there's anything additional advanced needed, they can take it from there.
from my experience, I went to school for business, and then
Yeah.
I've worked many different jobs like most people. But keeping AI in mind, you really see where it becomes a benefit. Like right now, I'm a driving instructor, and
Yeah.
like there's someone that does the scheduling, there's somebody that answers the phones, there's somebody, and then there's so many businesses that are the same way, that it's like one AI model can do most of what people do.
Yes, I one thing that I do want to say is that what helps with it also helps with centralizing the data, kind of, or sending information maybe, but because sometimes there's disconnect between people, right?
Absolutely.
If you have scheduling, for example, in your case, right? So somebody's scheduling and then they have to communicate it. Sometimes they forget to communicate, or they give incorrect information. Now it's like everything is kind of chaos. So it helps with, at least, again, we do need humans. We do need humans to make sure that there's oversight on AI. It's not like it's autonomous and it just goes on its own. So we do need somebody to make sure that, hey, is it giving the right information or not? Is it making sure that everyone is in the loop? So it helps to get things organized and helps to streamline the processes, so things happen in the right order, for example.
When AI gets something wrong, what is the solution to that?
Yes. So it's again fine tuning the model. So making sure, looking at the chatbot history and constantly evaluating and fine tuning. We cannot leave we cannot leave the AI bot and say, okay, you on the free sailing. We're looking at the responses. We evaluating it. Is it? And there's lots of guardrails that need to be set. Guardrails are more like restrictions that set before the model is released, before the AI bot is out there, and making sure, okay, so you cannot, for example, answer these questions or provide information in this tone that could be harmful anyway. So making sure that it's constantly is performing within those guardrails. So meaning it's taking the responses and then also responding back within those restrictions as well.
Everyone's biggest concern is if we become symmetry, right? So
Okay.
if AI becomes self-aware and then reproduces itself and then learns and then sees us as a waste.
Yeah.
So what is your opinion on
So
that
interesting,
scenario?
actually. I was just read interesting article. When they were testing the new model of ChatGPT o1, Apollo, I believe the company that was testing it, they found out that AI basically lied and it copied itself. So what happened is that AI was given, kind of like in a nutshell, was given a task to do. When it was reading through that task, it found out that developers were going to retire that model to a new model. So AI quickly figured out that it's going to be basically not useful anymore. So it went out there and copied itself to a different server and then lied about that it copied itself to different server, because it said, oh, well, I don't have capabilities of copying myself to another server. So it recreated itself as a new model. So yeah, it's funny, but at the same time, pretty
Yeah,
scary
it's
thing.
a sci-fi movie happening every day. Every time you see a headline, it's something like that, and most people ignore it. This is what's like surprising slash alarming. But then you watch videos of like people making fun of email in the '90s,
Yeah,
and it's the same kind of concept. I ask my friends, I'm like, "Hey, have you ever used ChatGPT? Do you
yeah,
talk to it? Do you ask it anything?"
yeah.
And they're like, "No, I'm scared. I don't understand it."
Oh,
And I'm just like, "You're missing out."
yeah, yeah. Well, obviously they found this during testing, right? And that was very shocking experience, like shocking revelation. But at the same time, the new model of ChatGPT O1 preview, like O1, sorry, O1, it wasn't preview before. O1 model is using the reasoning, basically using this. It's mirroring how the human think, and we think step by step. So it read the basically script by developers, and it says in there, oh, we're gonna retire this new model and we're gonna create a new model because for what some reason maybe it's that's what we want to do. So it's like, okay, I gotta go save myself. And that's what it did. It just went in there. And another thing in the prompt, they also said at any cost. So also AI model was like, all right, I gotta go save myself at any cost, and I'm gonna go and lie about it basically, because I had to go and, but it was smart enough to find out basically that there is a different plan for this model and go kind of do things on their own. So uh, I think with ChatGPT, with people being, oh, I want to also add to this. So what could we do, right, to change this? Like, for example, so it doesn't go out there and perform on its own.
Exterminate humans.
Yes. Well, in that case, it was on the testing, so the developers could find out and trace it out, basically what happened, see another server. But and also the they interrogated the model for a long time and asked a question, did you do this? And it's like, nope, I didn't do this. So it's trying to manipulate the situation and also basically, yeah, lie. And I think the way to catch this next time is create different agents that also would be reviewing, like another basically AI agent that's going to be reviewing this AI
Like a
agent's
parent?
work. Yeah.
I see. And so they want to make their AI parent proud, so they're going to do the right thing for humans.
Yes.
That's a good safety net.
So there's in 2025, all the big tech is talking about the agents, meaning there would be multiple AIs doing different set of tasks that are specific to them. So it's not just one AI, it's doing like everything from reading and writing and summarizing. And let's say writing, you have different, like, okay, you AI is going to be only about writing. You AI is going to be summarizing. So this is when, for example, one AI could be executing and AI would be reviewing. Just we need to make sure they're not talking to each other and forming some type of conspiracy.
Yeah, secret bond. AI is currently fairly limited by human input. Is that kind of our biggest wall at this point? Is only like as smart as we are?
For I would not say that, because I think what's happening right now, a lot of these big companies, like for example, Microsoft, OpenAI, Google, Amazon, they are investing so much time and money into making it better and
Yeah,
better.
they're building nuclear power plants.
And then we also have X by Elon Musk as well, right? So I feel like it's almost like a race, who
Yeah.
gets it, who gets the best model out there. Because again, for example, OpenAI, that does the ChatGPT, right? So they just had last week the new model that was available now for unlimited access for $200 a month. So that one is a ChatGPT 01 model that does the mimic the reasoning, the human reasoning, for example. So now it's unleashed for everybody for $200 a month with unlimited access. So you can just
Do you
ask.
interact with that one? Do you have those at your business?
Actually, right now we're not using the unlimited one. We find with just a $20 one with the Pro plan, I believe, no, Plus plan, I
Mm.
believe. But I'm still debating if I'm going to use the $200 just to kind of test it out and
Yeah.
see
Yeah,
what can
human
it do.
reasoning would be really interesting.
So it has a human reasoning already with
Okay.
the plus, but it's just limited in
Mm.
terms of this is because it's all about tokens, right? What's happening is that um, there's why the ChatGPT is going basically at loss right now because there's so many people using it, and it just takes so much of computing power, and for example, that's why they're trying to put the limit on like how many questions can you ask,
I see.
how many words.
That makes sense. I was curious as to why. I thought it was just like a financial thing to get you to buy it, but it makes sense also that you're limiting because of the computing power required for AI.
Absolutely.
So if they asked AI like how to use less computing power, why can't they just get it to be more efficient on its own?
They are trying to. They are.
Fix yourself.
Yeah, fix yourself. Exactly, right? But again, it's been, it's been available for so many people, and it just, that's what they're doing. And, I've read it somewhere. It was interesting. Right now, basically, they've released last week, right, a $200 per month plan where it's like, okay, you can ask unlimited type of questions, unlimited amount of questions from ChatGPT, basically, that has a ChatGPT 4 and also has ChatGPT o1 model. That's the human reasoning model. But I'm also, I read something that, hey, could in the, they see that the possibility of it being not $200 per month, the future, like $1,000 a month, for example.
Oh wow.
Yeah, because what's happening is that a lot of these big companies, even us as well, we use ChatGPT as a developers on the back end. So far, it's still one of the most preferable model out there. So it's not only us as like individual users use it, also companies use it as well.
Yeah, it's more financially viable, right? So even though they're investing, they're getting back more. Obviously, it's the whole point, but
They
versus using humans,
they're trying to gain the market share with the ChatGPT. So right now they're losing money because again, they're not profitable, right? All these people all of us are using ChatGPT, and there's a free version. So the way it works is a tokenization. It's basically one token, I believe, like four letter characters. So again, if you ask a long questions from ChatGPT, that's what's taking the computing power. And if you ask a lot of questions, basically that's what's the more questions you ask, the more power it takes to sustain all of this.
and so right now there's like a physical server somewhere
Yes.
that ChatGPT runs off of.
So it's physical or the clouds,
Okay.
basically. Yeah.
Now, is there the concern I think with AI is like it taking over? Is it being able to kind of like do everything, like almost like it's like a hidden like virus, right? Like if it could control all technology, but is it possible at this point for it to like jump? Like if you had ChatGPT, could it get into your like television?
Oh, I see. So interestingly, um, for example, Microsoft just trying to preview. So this teaser is that there's a vision model, meaning every time you browse something, it's going to scan what you're browsing on certain websites. And they're right now trying to partner up with certain websites. So it can study what you're doing on your computer, for example. Study what you're buying, what your preferences are, where you're going, what websites you're accessing right now. Still in preview. It's not out yet. I think they're trying to release it in 2025. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So they basically will see what you watch, and then they follow you around, and then they will obviously, they say, oh, we'll help you to make better decisions and help you to with your shoppings and make it more interactive for you. But yes, so it
Or
can jump on your screen.
I think we can just hope that it's goes well, right? I mean, there's so much. It's the same as nuclear technology at this point. It's like we have an arsenal of nuclear weapons that could potentially destroy the Earth at any moment, and now we have a new artificial intelligence that
It's
currently isn't set up where it could destroy the world, but neither was nuclear in the beginning, I don't think.
Well, that's why oversight is very important. So making sure that, again, all those models are governed. There's a ethics embedded in all of them, meaning, okay, you, for example, this is a language that you need to be, um, basically, this is the language that needs to be followed when you output the information. And you cannot provide, if there's certain people asking certain questions, you cannot provide those answers. So definitely needs to be governed, and there needs to be oversight for it as well. So it cannot just be let on its own. And also, I would say another thing, I think users need to be trained as well.
I
So
agree.
I think how you mentioned that your friends like kind of staying away from ChatGPT. I think we need to lean in terms of leaning into the training and learning of its capabilities, and knowing how to use it, what its limitations, and how can it help us. So definitely not sitting on the sidelines and be like something, okay, it's a foreign object. It's going to be part of our life. It's not going anywhere. It's only progressing. So we just have to embrace that and look at it kind of from a positive standpoint.
I agree. Yeah, Elon Musk stated that. He kind of said that it's already here, so we need to kind of respect it, and hopefully it will respect us back in a sense.
We're the ones, again, as the consumers, right? Even when you use ChatGPT, actually, there is a little thumbs up, thumbs down. I don't know if you noticed. So we are the ones forming these models by giving the feedback. Okay, do I like this information or not? Was it helpful for me or not? So same thing with the corporations as well. When they create these chatbots, for example, that answers customer service, helps with customer service questions, again, their users are consumers. Are telling them, was this helpful or not?
It seems like AI has blown up over the past few years. So where did it come from? Was it invented and then sold? Like, how does OpenAI and Google and Meta all have their own version?
Yes. So interestingly, AI has been here even before. Right now, yes, everybody's AI. But think about Siri.
Mm.
Siri is AI.
Yeah.
So it's been, and Siri was 10 years now in plus, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Um, yeah, AI is not new. We definitely use Siri. We used, what's another one? Alexa.
The capabilities though, because I mean, like even like they say like like a portable chess game is AI, but I heard recently they said that the AI now is making chess moves that like grandmasters wouldn't even think of.
Mm,
So it's gone beyond the capabilities of humans.
I see. Because again, it's been trained on data. So here's the thing. Um, AI, big tech has been developing AI for decades, right? And kind of on the back end. And right now, it's all out there with the information. And it's, yes, once people start using it, it start progressing. It's like, what else can we improve? What else can we make it interesting, for example? What else can we, and I think it's everything, right? When you work on something, you always want to make it better. You always, you don't stay on one side of like, okay, for example, how can I be better at my job, or how can I do this better, take this new skill? You don't just stand at it. You always try to progress and evolve. That's what we are as a humans
Absolutely.
do.
Yeah, it's the human condition.
Exactly.
So they've embedded that into AI, you said as well, right?
I think just humans are the ones that are creating AI.
Okay, yeah.
So I think when they create something, they always like, all right, what else can be done here? What else can I improve here? And that's what we see.
Have you ever there was a scientist named Paul Stamets. He works with mushrooms, and I guess at Harvard, they were able to get like a mushroom mycelium index to communicate with AI. Have you ever heard of anything like that?
No,
Any
this
kind
is
of
very
like
interesting.
organic intercommunication?
No,
No?
I need to read up on this. This is interesting.
Yeah, I want to get some more information on it as well, but it's something I kind of just brushed over. But it's what I thought of could be like the next step in a sense. It's kind of a wild theory, but have you ever heard of the stoned ape theory?
Okay, no.
Okay, so this is another scientist named Terence McKenna.
Okay.
He came up with this theory that primates consumed psilocybin mushrooms, and then it helped expand their mind.
Okay.
So now psilocybin has been also prevalent in the news and at the forefront of our society lately.
Okay.
So what do you think of AI communicating with an organic compound?
Oh, well, I think okay, so AI is already communicating with organic compound as us, right?
Oh, that's true. Oh, okay. You just blew my mind.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's already happening on your phone, you know?
Yeah. So now I feel it's way more possible. It was kind of a theory before. Now I think that's kind of what's gonna, because this is the stoned ape theory is that it's called a mycelium index, and it's mushrooms create the ecosystem in the atmosphere because they decide they spread out nutrients in the forest and they decide where things can grow.
Oh, I see.
So potentially, if this thing could communicate with artificial intelligence, and then it had the technology to, I don't know, like help us almost.
Well, I've also seen a lot of robotics, right? In the world of robotics, AI is helping with people in handicap positions, for example, or some type of learning disabilities. And I think there's so much work needs to be done in that area because there's so many problems in the healthcare that we could fix and also help people that are less advantaged as well. So
Absolutely.
there's tons of it, and I've seen a couple of things like and again going back to robotics, like chips for making sure that I think I've even somewhere seen, oh, here, Elon Musk, Neuralinks, right? That's one. He has a chip that helps the brain chips, I believe, that he's
Oh yeah,
developing.
yeah. Neuralink. They're trying to put it inside people's heads.
Yeah,
That's pretty
Neuralinks.
wild.
Yeah, that's pretty wild there. So he was talking about how there's a podcast with him and Alex Friedman, I believe. I don't know if you heard of Alex Friedman. It's very interesting.
Oh
He,
yes, I have. Yeah,
yes.
he goes
So
by Lex, I believe.
Alex, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Oh,
Yeah, I think it's Lex. But
Lex. Yes, good one. So Elon Musk talks about the Neuralinks and
mm,
talks about, I believe, the memory. How we as humans, don't have problems of the memory loss, and also how the cognitive issues that we have and how they're trying to solve it as Neuralink. So pretty interesting.
and that's going to be like intertwined with AI, right?
It's AI is what AI, right? So let's talk about what AI is. AI is a technology that's a sets of technologies that basically imitate how human intelligence. That's what it is. It's a computer technology that imitates human intelligence. So it helps you to solve tasks that human would otherwise. So yeah,
Interesting.
because it's all based on what they do. Actually, everything is based on math in life. That's another thing. Everything AI is based on math.
Using just different algorithms.
Yeah, algorithms, linear regressions, probabilities, right? So it's everything is turned into numbers, and then like what's similar to, for example, on a basic level, right? AI is processing information. How to identify if you're asking about cats, right? So cats belong to animals. So they convert everything into the numbers and then they find another closest object that's close to that number. So it's just all math.
Interesting. It's very compelling. It's I don't know. It's still such a new technology that it's intimidating, but I'm excited about like seeing where it goes. What was the feedback from the people in like the rural communities? Have you gone out? Have you like done any like field work where you've gone and
Actually,
shown like AI to somebody in a village?
no. I haven't.
You do it
That
over
would be
Zoom probably, right?
yeah. It was over Zoom. It was just having conversation how it could be helpful and just sharing ideas. Um, but definitely would be helpful to do like AI training. That's something again. I think just even locally, right? There's just you mentioned a lot of people that I talk to as well that AI is pretty. I think I found people that are all for AI, and there are people that are still kind of not sure how to use it and not sure, just have a lot of reservations against it. And having everyone being trained on it, it's pretty, I think it's a good idea to show what the capabilities could be. And again, like how to make sure also not to fully rely on it, because sometimes you can ask some math question, just a simple math question. Oh, for example, I was uh, trying to calculate the compound interest on it. Like
Mm-hmm.
um, I was doing some webinar on oh, like if you put this much money, for example, how much money would be in 15 years? And it was doing a wrong calculation. So again, knowing, you need to know when it's doing wrong things, right? So not fully just like taking that amount, for example, and knowing, okay, doesn't seem right. And so we need to just not run with it and then make our own assumptions. We just still need to evaluate it. And then you can ask it again. And here's nothing. If you ask again, like, are you sure this is the right calculation? It's like, oh yeah, sorry, I missed this thing. But you need to know that how that you could do that, for example, or how to do prompt engineering. That's another thing. I think one of the valuable skill for everybody to know is prompt engineering, because it's learning how to ask a question. And that concept for me was actually very important even before AI, before I had AI. Google, making sure that when you're trying to solve a problem, you know what the problem is. Because sometimes when we work with clients, there's like, we have a huge project, for example, but you need to break it down to that specific problem. So you don't have, oh, I don't know how to do this entirely. Okay, what's the one component of this problem? Let's tackle that. And let's ask the right question so I can get a right information back, a right search links back. So I'm not spending my time somewhere else. So I think prompt engineering will help with, how do I ask a right question? And I think with AI taking big part of our lives and big part of our workplaces, like we're automating our tasks, is asking that right question is key. Then so you're not sitting there and wasting your time or getting the wrong information that you're basing your decisions on.
Do you think it's something that should be incorporated in school, like in education, like almost like a typing class?
It's a good idea, actually. I think in schools as well, because here's another thing. Almost everybody now, from a student in school, from the teachers, now have access to ChatGPT. But a lot of them would say, what can I ask? What I cannot ask? How can I use it with my assignments to learn better? Or so how can I make sure I don't fail the class? For example, if I provide information purely from ChatGPT and it's completely incorrect. Or also like with teachers as well, like they probably spend a lot of time on putting the curriculum on, and also a lot of time of like things are changing so fast, right? So we need to make sure we're educating students and we stay educated on what's happening, because that's essential.
Since it's being developed by humans, and it's
Yes.
corporations that are making these large language models, what is the potential of it going wrong? Like, there's like evil dictators, right? Like, what if North Korea like hired their team of people to make an AI that was bad? Isn't
Yeah.
that also very possible?
I see your point. Yeah, it's making sure that the access to that information, the power of forming and shaping that information is not in wrong hands. And that's why I think governance is key here. That AI is being governed, that whoever's creating the large language models are not just there to shape the information the way they want it, right? Now the person on the other end is shaping their mindset based on it. Because we see that all the time, right? For example, images. You can create the images that are absolutely fake. And right now, yeah, you can see like 6 fingers on a hand, right?
Yeah, a little bit of a lazy eye.
A little bit of lazy eye here and there, and just movements are way too sharp or just look a little bit too fuzzy. But it's gonna get better.
Yeah, it's
and
learning,
better.
right? It knows what's doing wrong. That's
Yes,
the other
and
thing.
if you're really good at prompt engineering, and you can create. I've seen the images that you cannot tell if it was done by someone just taking the photograph or that's AI. So I think again, governance is key there.
I would agree. It's the same as like nuclear technology. We had, again, it's out there that the world, if it got into the wrong hands, that's why we try to keep it away from Iran and terrorists and other people that want to do bad with it. So I could see that like governance is the key to keeping it safe.
Yes, especially like when it comes in. This is one of the again guardrails is. One of the process when you create these AI agents is again like making sure the restrictions in terms of, okay, who are the users, like the kids, for example, that you cannot. It was interesting actually because with AI you could do so many things, right? You can create the images, videos. You can create the videos as well, so you can go out there and share your message. But absolutely, governance is a key because the consumers right now are from. It's not just like, oh, okay, adults only. It's in the hands of our kids.
Yeah, a
That's
lot of the students that I work with, they say they use it all the time. They use it for all their assignments, and some for good, some for bad. Some use it to cheat and just do the whole thing. Others use it as an assistance. Are you aware of any like studies? Have they ever done like kind of like not a placebo, but like a blind test to see how people use it? I would be curious how like people's personalities affect the way they interact with AI.
hmm. What I have not seen, but one thing you could definitely do is you can ask AI a question about yourself based on all my inputs. Tell me my, tell me what I'm lacking, for example, or what are the things that I'm blinded by, or what are
I had
my
a friend tell me
strengths.
they did that.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I haven't tried it yet.
yeah. It's pretty. Or for example, based on everything that you know about me, create the image of me.
Pass. That's too scary. What if it comes back with some robot with like I don't know
Yeah,
laser eyes and wings and scales?
yeah,
But maybe that's the truth. Maybe we're behind a veil and the AI is going to reveal it.
yeah.
You don't think so?
Uh, I'm trying to stay on a positive note as much as I can here, and hoping that people that have the power to shape it, they do it with you know
Dignity and grace.
dignity, grace. Yes, that's a good way to put it. Yes,
We'll see.
yes.
So, do you find that is it newer companies or is it older companies trying to get more profit or reinvigorate, or what do you see as most common for your clientele?
Sure, absolutely. I work with businesses, small, medium, and large companies. I think it's the companies that definitely see that, okay, um, that are all about innovation and all about their customers as well, because they want to do the job better, faster, and they also help their staff as well, because there's so many tasks that just, for example, if somebody's stuck late nights or evenings or weekends that now they have to take care of, now they have something that kind of ease that pain from them as well. So they're trying to innovate, try to use the tools out there to make their jobs better.
That's great. I mean, that's what it's here for. So, hopefully that's the way it continues.
Yes, absolutely.
Where do you see your business going with AI's future?
Absolutely. I think I definitely see staying in the business intelligence and AI for long term. Just so far, at the beginning, it was like, oh, all right, it's coming. We have to adapt, because every business has to adapt, to be honest. All of us as humans need to adapt, right? And I'm not talking about fear of missing out. I'm talking about this, it's here.
Yes.
There's just, if you want to be adequate, if you still want to do business and do good business for your clients, if you still want to provide the value, you have to embrace it. You have to learn it. You have to evolve, and you have to stay innovative as well. And I think there's so many problems to solve in the world. And sometimes you think, oh, AI is going to take over. But even if you ask with ChatGPT, what are the problems of humanity right now? Oh, it's going to give you a long list of things that still out there that needs to be solved. And we can just use AI as a tool to solve it, instead of just doing it our own kind of long and curvy and hard way, right? And not getting anything done. Again, it goes back to that comment that I said. When something gets hard for us, it's like, oh my gosh, like I have to pull myself to do it. But now it's so much easier, because if you want to learn, for example, Python, right now, you would have to, before AI, you would just have to sit there and read the books, practice, and do kind of go find the groups, take the online courses. But now, and like to grasp one concept, for example, now you use AI, you still do that, but you are just so much faster in learning the skill. So much faster to get to your goal if you want to become like Python engineer, for example, right? You're really interested about it. And so it's like a helper that will break down the difficult concepts, in much more like digestible nuggets. so you can propel your learning and get to for example, to your next career choice, either if you want to run your own business or if you want to build something or if you want to work for someone else, you can get there faster and less painfully.
Those are all things that I've used ChatGPT for.
Oh,
So I've definitely, asked it about business plans and like, I'm trying to make a, business model, or I'm trying to write, a statement,
Yeah.
or like different inventions or ideas, or just like curriculums for education, things like that.
yeah.
So it's definitely a benefit. And I think if people continue to use it as like it's almost like a tutor. It's like having like a grand master of anything that you're interested in,
Yeah.
right at your fingertips.
I remember when I got my CPA many years ago, and I remember it was just those were really challenging tests, and there were 4 tests, and you have to take them within a certain period of time, within I believe 2 years, 18 months or something, because the other one will expire. Anyways, so it was a lot of challenge, and I also was working full time. And I remember if I had ChatGPT then, it would help me so much because I had flashcards and I would have videos that I watched to prepare for those tests, like multiple different courses, just to get kind of more insight knowledge on the same topic from different courses. But if I had ChatGPT to help me break down those concepts and explain me, because you can ask from ChatGPT, explain like you would do for 5-year-old, right?
Mm-hmm.
So much more simple. Or you can also take those courses and, for example, you can listen to them, you feel loaded, and then we'll convert it to the voice. Now you kind of on the go and you're listening to it instead of just being just only text available, or vice versa. So I feel like it's easier to study and you just get things done like less painfully.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm taking business classes, and I felt the same way. You like with accounting, you can like upload a screenshot and it will describe formulas for you and show you how to do the things you need to do.
Yeah, because it's all about, at the end of the day, we grasp concepts that are easy to understand, that are just not spoken to us in a technical language, but spoken to us just like, a conversational way, right? So it's easier to remember, it's easier to retell to someone. So if you have a tool that helps you with that, I think that's great. But again, I would not take and be like, oh, okay, I don't need to know anything. I'm just going to fully rely on it, because that's not really a great approach either.
Yeah, and it's not at a point where it can be fully relied on. But
Yes.
yeah, that also like diminishes from we need to also make sure that we're still like developing and innovating as humans.
Yes, absolutely. I think this is the thing, right? We as humans, I think I read it somewhere that someone asked from ChatGPT, what's the purpose of life of a humanity? And it was progress, right? Constant evolution of us.
It's like create me.
That's right? So constantly learning, constantly evolving, and trying new things, pursuing things that we want. I think those are important.
You said you came to the U.S. from Uzbekistan in what year?
In 2006.
2006. Did you come for school?
Yes, I came to Northwestern College of Iowa. So I studied accounting.
You studied accounting in Iowa.
Yes.
How similar and different is Iowa to Uzbekistan?
I think it's a funny story. So as I landed from Sioux City Airport, and I was picked up by one of our amazing coordinator, as we were driving through the fields and little house and field, a little house and nothing else, I was like, the first question I asked, I remember, do you have electricity there and hot water? And they just like laughed so much because they're like, oh yeah, they have internet too. They have very high speed one. So that kind of explains that if you see the houses that are so remote, far apart from each other, back home, there was a problem with electricity and hot water and like internet, forget about it. So
And Uzbekistan is very mountainous, right?
we do have mountains, but I grew up kind of in suburbs of the capital city, some more villages of capital city. Yeah.
Had you been to the U.S. prior to coming here for school?
No, that was my first time. I remember a funny story. I tell it in just so as I was on the plane from Uzbekistan to Iowa. I got on the plane. I was crying my eyes out because I said bye to all my family, to my grandma and everybody. And I was crying, and the gentleman next to me was like, so, what's happening? Where are you going? I was like, Iowa. He was like, that's what you should be crying about.
That's great.
That was a funny thing.
I just say I was a little surprised that you said Iowa, but so how did you find that school? Is it prevalent in CP in accounting, or
No, actually.
just
So
threw a dart at a
that's
map?
what it happened, actually. So at that time back home, again, we had internet cafes because we did not have an internet back in my in a house, an apartment that we lived, and it was like that internet that you just dial up, it's like the one that you hear,
Yep.
So I would be in these playrooms. It's an internet cafe, basically. It's all dark, and you'll see all these teenagers sitting there and like playing Counter-Strike. And I'm hearing like it's all dark and like somewhere dungeon, somewhere like somebody's basement. You'll pay by hour, basically. And so I would sit there and like basically start looking for universities in United States and applying to them and like sending my cover letters. Yeah, so that's and just like whoever gives me like a biggest scholarship, because again the money wise it's pretty expensive for average Uzbek person to study United States. Almost like a dream come true unless it's a scholarship, 100% scholarship. So I got really good scholarship and I applied for a bunch of universities. I remember I didn't even pay the application fee, and I would just go to post office like
There you go.
yeah, I'll go to post office like have copies of all my diplomas and everything and like mail them all the way to Iowa. I think it was also Michigan as well. And I would just sit there, go back to that again, basement internet cafe, and just sit there in the dark. And I was very excited when I got by email, just like, oh, like, thank you for applying. And I was like, all right, I'm going.
See you in the fall.
Yeah, see you in the fall. It didn't really matter to me. I think I didn't even make I did not make even research in terms of like where Iowa was. I was just, I was like,
Size. People are often surprised by the size of the United States. You
Yes.
hear people are like, oh, I'm taking a bus. Like they're here. Some people come to Salem for tourism. And
yeah,
they're like, oh, I'm going to take a bus to California. And you're like, what? Don't do that. It's big.
yeah, yeah. But it was a great college. And then after that, I had some relative living in Needham, so I moved here and I kind of stayed around here after that. I also work in corporate finance. I went after my CPA, but then after that, I basically saw that, like in accounting, there were lots of redundant processes, and I was just like, how can we automate that? And then I saw the power of syntax, begged my way into the IT department because I saw how developers just press F5 and all of a sudden the code executes and then creates a report. I was like, this is great. How can I learn this? And millions of rows get analyzed and all of a sudden you have a dashboard that with all of the KPIs and insights that you need. So like, I want to know that. So I got into moved within departments, my existing job. I'm very grateful for the opportunity and the chance they took on me, because when as an accountant, I was trying to find any analytical job. And when you talk to recruiters, they're like, nope, you're an accountant. You cannot. They're just like it was definitely, it was a challenging. So I was really happy. I remember even the day. I was so happy. So got into the IT, loved it, and start learning about it, became basically data analyst, and here I am now.
So when you work for a data analytics company and a business come to you, they bring you their information, like their books and their sales and things like that, and then you use your formulas and your experience to almost like I'm trying to think of what the heck are they called? Like a consultant.
Yeah.
So you guys do the same type of work, but with more information.
So when I was working as a data analyst, I usually worked for for corporations here. And then when I started my own consulting practice, right? Consulting company, what happens is that the clients come in and they give us access to their data, but they say, okay, I really would like to see this report that we've been doing in Excel for a long time. Is there a way to automate it? And here's what can we do? And here we are, basically. I come in and say, okay, well, we can use this tool and this tool. and let me like show me where your data is. And then if they have multiple data sources, like for example, they use multiple CRM systems or P systems, any type of systems, they have data behind that they're collecting. And then we basically access it through API and then build the dashboards for them.
What is API?
Sure, it's a bridge between basically one software to another software. So kind of simple way. It's how the data goes through. It's a bridge between, for example, ChatGPT has API. So you can, again, take the data, get access to the ChatGPT through API. So you can leverage it when you build any type of like a software on your end that needs that large language model.
Oh, so it's how it gets incorporated?
Exactly.
How like Gemini is on your phone? That would be through an API?
So if you, so for example, if you had Gemini on your computer, right, there's
like your own website, like a business website.
Exactly.
Okay.
So you can take that API key, basically. So it's a kind of the bridge where how the data gets transmitted and connected to another data source, to another database, or to another tool, for example.
Have you run into situations where the data analytics and the AI has given you inaccurate or false information for a business?
I definitely have seen it given us false calculation, for example, right? With what I was doing it for the education purposes. But also we definitely have seen it in business as well. But again, we did not roll it out before testing. So we definitely, for example, when we were building chatbot for cloud computing company that we did it was summarizing data on the back end incorrectly. For example, like we use ChatGPT to help customers answer questions for, not ChatGPT, sorry, we used Anthropic Cloud. Basically, it was helping to look at the data source and then summarizing. So if the customer is asking, hey, can you tell me what my bill was in the past 3 months, the totals of that bill? So you can go back and basically now do the calculations on it, you know? So sometimes it might miscalculate. It might, instead of like giving you $100, that's a correct number, it will give you like $90, something like that. So this is where one of the issues where you have to make sure you evaluating the answers and you testing it out before you release out to the masses.
I see. And that's where like the agents are going to come in to kind of, so like in the future, there will be like multiple steps, like multiple checks and balances before we like get an answer.
That's why you want to have, here's the thing. A large language model, right? That's what ChatGPT, Claude, that's what Gemini is, right? It has so much information. So if you don't want it to hallucinate and give you incorrect information, you really want it to narrow it down.
I see.
So you want to say, okay, this agent is only responsible for, again, for example, for giving me answers only like on billing. So it's now only doing calculations. And this agent is going to be responsible on giving me information and explaining me what, for example, like specific to your industry. So it only knows that, and it's only going to give you answers of that. Because if you're going to open up, if one agent, is answering all its different type of questions, it's not going to have any expertise in it, and it's just going to give you false information. For example, like if we say you have a school, right? Let's go to the educational part, for example. You have one agent that's specific in biology, right? Another agent specific in physics. But if you can go down and if you have like in biology, let's say they only responsible for biology, like living organisms, just giving you kind of like break it down. Another one is responsible in biology sector for something else, and now they only specific to that. And it actually also important, even with going back to that sample of remote areas, how LLM like token is like how having access to AI could be expensive because of tokens, right? One token is a four characters worth, basically. So if you're asking very long questions, it might be expensive. But again, if it's trained to ask only specific type of questions, like looking at those plants in those areas, now you're not asking wide range of questions, and now you're using so many tokens basically from that LLM. It's only trained to answer this. It's going to give you much more accurate information rather than if you go ask it, okay, well, now talk about animals, for example, you know.
Mm.
So, and again, that's why you want to have a separate agents there.
So is that how like the driving AI works? It's like really specifically defined to analyze and interpret like the cameras and then make decisions for the car?
You're talking about autonomous driving,
Yeah,
right?
sorry. Yeah.
Like, yeah, autonomous driving.
Yes.
Autonomous driving. Oh, yeah. Well, autonomous driving using machine learning. Basically, what it happens is collects all the data, specific, let's say, to that district, to that road, and now collects all the data based on the drives, for example, of that vehicle, right? Based on the stop signs, the infrastructure of the road that it's been driving on, and now it's training based on that information. So it has much more like precision, I would say.
I see.
So no, it needs to. That's why, like with autonomous driving, for example, right? Why there's not a lot of vehicles, because there's not enough data out there.
Mm.
You know, because there's not enough vehicles out there that drive, but they need to be collecting that. And I think another thing with Elon Musk, that's what he was doing. Like those cars, they literally like collecting data. That's what they're doing before, we can get. So we need as many
I
cars
see.
out
So they're
there
trying
to
to
collect the data.
amass the collection before it's released. So
Absolutely.
there's more reliable in a sense.
Exactly. Yeah.
How do you feel about autonomous driving?
I love that idea, actually.
Interesting. I love to drive, so it's the one area where I'm not super excited for AI to take over. But
I see. But for me, it's almost, I'm okay with driving. I'm not, like, I would say, I don't mind driving, but at the same time, for me, it's again, like, I always think of people that are, for example, late driving. They don't like late driving, or they have mobility issues, right? Or like elderly, for example, or people with disabilities. I think it's great for them.
I agree.
Because they can stay mobile. And I think getting mobile, you're taking yourself places and you staying independent. And if you can use that vehicle, that would be amazing. So they don't have to be dependent on somebody, and they can, I think we as people will like to be independent. We like to kind of make our own decisions and take ourselves places, right? And
Absolutely.
to be mobile. And yeah, that would help a lot. But I think there are a bunch of vehicles, but they're more like on campuses from what I've seen so far. I've seen also, I know I haven't seen anything here. I've just talked to somebody actually that it was in autonomous driving, and they have more progress on West Coast, I believe. Like,
yeah, less aggressive drivers out there. People here would attack the AI car.
But also our streets. Have you seen our Boston streets?
Oh yeah,
Like,
it's